So you ready? I'm gonna start the interview now, okay?
Okay.
Alright, so I'm just gonna shoot some, remind you of a few things and we'll start. America's around 2/3 Christian. Atheistic Satanists are in my interviews. The kangaroo video, the omni-Eris rainbow flag, and lisp. Kathleen Taylor, Oxford researcher and feminist, who said that they're gonna drug fundamentalist Christians in the future. And the wolves in sheep's clothes is the symbol of the Fabian Society, which is a social democratic group, well, their old symbol. Anyway, so you are in school about a year away or so from getting a degree in psychology, correct?
Yes.
I have two psychologists saying that there is nothing wrong with me already in my interview list. Would you concur?
What was the question?
I have two psychologists that say that there's nothing wrong with me already in my interview list. Would you agree with them?
That there's nothing wrong with you?
Yes.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with you.
All right. And we've been talking for about 2 years or so, right?
Yes.
Okay. One of them in my interview, one of the psychologists, his name was Joe. He said that he worked in a mental institution where they pointed out to him that they put sedatives in the patient's food and that he should not eat it. Would you put it past them to covertly drug me to get to the psych ward when they've asked you to help them get me involuntarily committed to the psych ward?
I wouldn't put it past them.
What do you think it says about America that they put a Satanist as the head of the Army Psychological Operations Unit in the 80s?
That this world is corrupt. What else can you say about it?
Do you think it seems to imply that there's an anti-Christian sentiment being pushed by the people in charge of the government?
The anti-Christian, the what?
An anti-Christian sentiment or philosophy.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think it implies that the government is working with big corporations and institutions to attack Christianity to make people conform to some anti-Christian agenda?
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if that's what they're doing, but I know that. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them if it was happening, but I'm not sure. I can't say that. That's what I think is happening. So, no, I don't know.
I'll send you a link showing that the government has been caught by scientists having sprayed major cities with radioactive chemicals. Do you think that's sick?
Oh, of course it's sick. It's contaminating our world.
Does it not seem to bring some credence or some credibility to my claim that they are spraying me?
That they're dropping that radioactive waste into the other place. I don't think so. No, I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so we've talked about the propaganda ban being lifted. Now that the propaganda ban is lifted, allowing the government to use propaganda on people, would you put it past them to run psych ops on people and spray people and covertly drug them?
Wait, what was the question?
Now that the propaganda ban has been lifted, which allows the government to lie people and to downplay, the truths that prove them wrong, would you put it past them to start covertly drugging people and spraying people as well to keep their lie going?
I guess not. I would not put it past them.
Okay, do you think it's fair to automatically assume a woman is lying if she says she was covertly drugged on a date?
No, I don't know. I can't say she's lying, and I can't say she's not unless I have facts.
What about a child?
Same thing.
And I assume it's the same thing for a political dissident with 4,000 videos on YouTube?
Wait, you're saying that you have proof that some lady's being drugged?
No, I'm saying that, if a political dissident who had 4,000 videos on YouTube said that he's being covertly drugged,
That doesn't have proof, but I need proof evidence. Just because you make a video based on your own opinion, every video, therefore every video is
there's no hard evidence to prove it, but there's no hard evidence that he's insane either.
Exactly. There's no evidence of either or. So it's just, you have to have evidence to either say, if there is no evidence that they're making false claims and they can't prove it, it obviously leads viewers to believe that it's false. Because if he doesn't have the way to back it up, obviously they're going to think that it's false.
Do you think that, what about the burden of proof on psychiatry? For the same reason, shouldn't psychiatry have a burden of proof on them to prove that somebody is mentally ill?
What do you mean?
If a psychiatrist says, this person's mentally ill and he needs drugs, shouldn't he have to prove it as well?
Well, unfortunately, I don't agree with this, but they always find a way to prove it. They can say, oh, you have this, so therefore you need this. And that is, unfortunately, that is more than enough evidence to get you into a treatment plan. That's just how it works, unfortunately. I know you don't agree with that. I don't agree with that either, but that's proof of us. So they have to.
Do you know that being opposed to authority is considered a mental disorder? It's called oppositional defiance disorder.
Yeah.
You've heard of that before?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a doesn't that seem to say that if you're a political dissident, you have a complex, you have a mental illness instead of you have a good reason?
I don't think that's true. I think that you need to learn respect, and you have no manners. You always respect authority, regardless if you like it or not. I'm talking about like parents and stuff like that. Obviously when you become a certain age, you're old enough to make your own decisions and things, but you can't just not like authority and disrespect everyone. That's not how life works.
Well, that's one thing to say that. It's another thing to say that it's a mental illness.
I don't think it's mental illness. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
All right. How does it make you feel that there are Oxford researchers and people at Ivy League schools who are well respected in the mental health community who are making it their mission to drug Christian fundamentalists in the future?
I didn't hear what you said, to be honest.
How does it make you feel that there are Oxford University researchers and other well-respected people in the psychiatric and mental health community who have made it their mission to drug Christian fundamentalists in the future?
Because, like I said, everything's corrupt. The government's corrupt. Anything that has, stuff like that is corrupt. So when you have one person who is on top and believes that, they're going to make sure that they control it, they change it, they do anything for their persuasive. They make everything sound pretty. And because of that, you will always find people who are like that. But is that what you mean? I don't know.
Yeah. So I only have two questions left. One is, because of the atheistic Satanist interview, this person sought me out, the kangaroo atheist video about me, and the omni-heiress, video about me where he has the rainbow flag, he talks with a lisp, he's obviously either gay or he's, he's on the side of the LGBT community. Doesn't that prove that there is a scheme between Satanists, gays, and atheists, an organized scheme or a premeditated scheme to harass me?
I mean, I don't know if they're premeditating trying to harass you. They could just be bullies. They could be, I don't know. But their intention, I know for a fact, is to obviously upset you. Someone wouldn't make a video like that if it was just to be funny. It was to be upsetting.
Well, if you remember in the omni-heiress video, it's three atheists. They're all on the same video, and at least one of them is gay. So they got together and said, we're going to make a video about this guy. They obviously arranged it so that they would make the video. They didn't do it by themselves, spontaneously. They said, hey, we're gonna have a conference at this time, and we're gonna make fun of this guy, and we're gonna post it. You see what I'm saying? You still there? roster. I'm going to have to put another clip, or, I'll put on one clip on. All right, so I was saying that these three people, okay, the three people, three atheists, one of them almost certainly homosexual, but definitely showing their allegiance to the LGBT community, got together and said, we're going to make this video about this guy at this time. At this time, we're going to meet and have a conference, a video chat conference, and we're going to post this video. You see, so they must have premeditated to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think that cut off before I could finish what I was saying. But what I was saying is that in order to make a video, everything has to be planned. Even for instance, your video. You don't just make a video and post it. Like, you make it, you back it up with pictures, you back it up with links, you back it up with information. You're prepared. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so they did the same exact thing. Yes, obviously to a different level and to a different extent, yes. And it's not okay with what they did. They should never do things to make fun of you. The purpose of that video was to obviously upset you, but I don't find it like they're after you because it's fun. I think that obviously, yes, they're trying to upset you. You weren't the only one in that video, first of all, but they were trying to upset you, obviously, as part of that. And I'm sure there's other people who are offended. And they were going to offend people. That's why they added it to the video. They knew for a fact that people were going to get offended. They did not care. And I don't think that means that they're purposely trying to target individually. The two are definitely one of the same, like the same people they were trying to target for you.
Yeah, and the video was titled "Targeted Individuals versus Perps," as if they were, you could take that literally as them admitting that they're perps, or you could take it probably how they wanted you to take it, that they're not really perps and we're magically crazy. They've shown you that there's many people who are making the same arguments, and the same people are harassing them for the same reason, yet these people went on record and harassed us. They went on record and magically crazy. They've shown you that there's many people who are making the same arguments, and the same people are harassing them for the same reason, yet these people went on record and harassed us. They went on record and tried to provoke us. Now remember, the atheists who told you to provoke me to go to the psych ward. Okay, this is more than just trying to make fun of somebody. They are trying to assassinate my character. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're trying to discredit me, play me out as crazy, and they went as far as to try to set me up to go to the psych ward. And you're not the only person who has told me that. Okay, let me tell you something that you didn't know as well. The other day I was out in town, right? Because I live in the cuts. I was out in town, and this guy came up to me. He was kind of in shape. He looked like a fighter or something. And he said something rather strange to me randomly. He says, "I know you're right about pretty much everything, but I have a reputation to protect." That's all he said.
What?
You didn't hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard you said. I just don't really know what the question is. Like,
Okay, what would you think if you make videos on YouTube and somebody found you and says something like that? It's like, and recently something else.
I guess I find it as a suspicion for sure.
And here's the even worse part. I had recently made videos where I was questioning the morality. I'm like, what kind of an evil person does this? And I was targeting martial artists as well. I was saying it's against the martial art code of honor and discipline and the accompanying moral code that comes with different martial art traditions for them to do this. And then I go out within a couple days, I see this guy, and he says this, And this isn't the first time. I remember right now I'm pulled over on the side of the road. I've told you this before, that somebody came up. He looked like he was in the military. He was a tall, white, bald guy in a white truck. And he basically asked me where I live. And on his way out, he said, "Don't worry. They just want you to think that we're coming for you." And he drove away. You remember me telling you that?
Yeah, I remember you told me. That's weird.
I mean, think about it. Doesn't it seem to scream that they're persecuting me for my political views? Now, remember, another word for harassment is persecution. You remember when I read you the dictionary definition?
Yes.
So another word for harassment is persecution. And doesn't that seem to exactly go along with my when I said my top martial arts video? I said I'm the top martial artist in whoop-de-whoop, and I'm being persecuted for my political views. Doesn't that seem to prove that I'm being persecuted for my political views?
Yeah, I guess.
And then psychiatry is going to pretend like I'm delusional. Okay? What do you think they would say about you? Now, that leads me to my last question. In order to prove I'm delusional, they gotta try to make you say that what happened with the atheist telling you to provoke me really didn't happen, and that that you were lying or something. They're gonna try to cover the odds and ends. So if I then asked you, what if we try to get Christians in mental health to unite against the persecution of non-Christians by mental health? And let's say for the sake of argument, you agreed to do that. Wouldn't that put you in jeopardy as well?
Yeah.
Because if
I don't know. I think we have a lot of similar views, like a lot of the situations, but I think there's some little things that we don't really like see eye to eye on. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I'm not against you. I just think you might take it a little bit more extreme than I would possibly take it. I can see your point part. I can see how it's a little weird and a little skeptical and stuff like that. I have never experienced that or gone through that. It's really hard for me to agree with you. Does that make sense?
Yes, to you, based on everything I've told you in this interview alone, what do you think is the most logical explanation for why they're doing this?
People have nothing better to do. For example, when people go into a freaking killing spree, they have nothing. They have anger. They have things they like. They're just not okay. They're not, there's something wrong. And so I feel like there's a lot of people out there where there's something wrong with them and they don't know how to deal with their emotions. For example, like people do things and sometimes they don't even know why they do them. They just do it because at that moment it seemed like the right thing to do. And do you agree with me or no?
Yes, but also you got to realize, how did they find me? Remember, I live in the middle of nowhere. Even if they had GPS on my phone, it wouldn't help them because my phone doesn't have service until I get to this part of the road. That's why I pull over on the road right here. You know what I'm talking about? Hello? Damn it, how the fuck that? Okay, I got cut off again. Let me stop right here.
Okay, sorry. I'm like in a dead zone, so my phone's probably cutting out.
All right, that's exactly what I'm talking about right now. How would they find me when my phone doesn't have service except for when I pull over right here on the side of the road? How did that guy know to come when I was on the side of the road? You see what I'm saying? Not only did he know how to find me, he knew when to find me on the side of the road. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that seem to imply a greater, more sinister conspiracy involving technology and possibly the government?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, but I mean, I feel like we've already talked about this. Like we talked about this. I don't want to do this. I'm done with the interview.
I just want you to give me your honest opinion. Isn't the logical conclusion that I'm being persecuted?
You're not going to like it. I think that you set yourself up for a lot of these things. I think that you make videos and people see them and people make fun of you. There's a reason they make fun of you. People think that what you're saying is so it's just so irrational and dumb. And so therefore, when you do that and when you put yourself out there and you say all the things that bother you and all the things and all your pet peeves and what hurts you, what destroys you, what leads you, you open up yourself to having all these things happen to you. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong and maybe they're really after you. I mean, could be. I don't know that. But at the same time, I also don't know that it's not that people just messing with you.
Regardless if they're messing...
You can't ask for my opinion and then try to argue with me. I'm not trying to...
I'm not arguing. I'm saying that... I'm asking you, what's your explanation? How do they know when and where to find me specifically? Just that one... Let's focus on that one question. How did they know when and where to find me?
I don't know. That's where you live. It's like... You live in the middle of nowhere, you go to the same area, you don't think people know you.
This guy, I have never seen this guy before ever. It's not like this guy's cruising up and down trying to find me. It's pretty much the one time the guy came out here, He knew exactly where to find me and when I would be there. That screams that I'm under some kind of surveillance. The most logical explanation for that is surveillance. That's what I'm trying to get at. And if I'm under surveillance, then it screams that this is an organized stalking, organized harassment. Therefore, the most logical conclusion is that organized harassment is real, and the government is either knows about it, you know, and is playing stupid, or knows about it and is doing it.
Listen, I have to go. I'm ready to be. So
all right.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
As I was going across spiritual bottom feeders videos, liberals, atheists, I came across the David Pakman show. As many of you know that I talk about how Kathleen Taylor has collaborated with psychologists and psychiatrists, what have you, and she's a neuroscientist who says that religious fundamentalism will be treated as a mental disorder in the future. And some of you might have had come up with the stupid idea that, well, you know, this is not a political thing. This is just her throwing something out there. Well, let's listen to the atheist take on it, shall we?
About a lot of those stories, that all of that could be forms of a mental disturbance that could be treated. And I would go even further. I would say, what about the beliefs that repress people's ability to grow, to be creative, to limit their kind of freedoms, or to make them want to limit other people's freedoms based on these beliefs? What do you think, Natan, about this analysis?
Well, I find...
See, don't you see what they're saying? I mean, it is proven my point to a T. He just said basically that, you know, what about people who think this sort of way and they limit, you know, other people's freedom, such as Christians who think that homosexuality is a sin. You know, this is basically an effeminate looking and sounding atheist teamed up with mental health who was paying close attention to mental health and anything that he can find to use against religious people. And he said flat out, I would go even further. Okay, there are a lot of people, and they're a small percent of society. Less than 10% of America is atheists. There's like 30 million of them, right? And they team up with the gays, and the feminists, and the government, and the Satanists, and the eugenicists, and the criminals who are willing to go along with this for profit. And they are attacking religious people, and they fully intend to drug the political opposition. This is a gradual, incremental attack on Christianity to bring in New Age atheistic philosophies and schools of thought. And don't you see how this is going? I mean, these are people catering to their allies. They're throwing their allies a bone. They're like, look, we hate Christians. We intend to get rid of them. Well, I'm going to throw mental health a bone. They can profit off Christians' political dissent by force medicating these people. And, you know, we can force them to accept homosexuality when only about 2 or 3% of America, if that, is homosexual. So you have about 2 or 3%. And remember, a lot of them are atheists. And about, you know, we'll call it 9% or so, okay. And when you take away, you know, the maybe 1/3 of them who are atheists, gay atheists, you get probably about 11% or so of the population. Here's the problem. You know, you have another 20% or so, because about 40% of women identify themselves as feminists, and we'll say they're about half a population, just to throw a rough estimate. So you have another 20%. And then you got to take some away from, because some of those people are in the gay community, some are atheists. Okay, so when all's said and done, you probably get about maybe 28% of the population. Okay, adding Satanists to that group, you might get 29%. So less than 1/3 of the population has teamed up against over 2/3 of the population for the purpose of drugging the more radical percent, the more radical group within that greater 2/3, you know, and they'll use that group as an example to sway the more moderate group of that 2/3 into seeing it their way and just going along and being socially normative so they don't get punished as well. I mean, I don't see how you could possibly deny this. It is impossible to have a fair and balanced and rational mind and to look at the information I've been presenting you, even in this video alone, and to then say, well, I'm wrong. I'm being noise harassed, so I'll stop there. Look at the sick irony of this. We all change our beliefs, of course, Taylor said in a YouTube video about the book. We all persuade each other to do things. We all watch advertising. We all get educated and experience religions, in quotations. Brainwashing, if you like, is the extreme end of that. It's the coercive, forceful, psychological torture type. You know what you're doing to people like me for being right while you're dead wrong. Government harassment, forced medication, psychological torture, coercion. That's what you're doing to us. You know, you have your own kind of a religion in psychiatry and atheism, and you're following it just as, you know, zealously as any religious zealot out there. To the point where you want to drug the political opposition, and you wrote a book about it. You speak on YouTube videos, and the Huffington Post posted your little article about you. And your little book, Brainwashing the Science of Thought Control. I mean, how dare you sick neuroscientists, you cowardly fucking sissy fucking psychologists, and you pussy ass shrinks, and big pharma fucking nanny fucking ninny fucking scumbags. Say anything about anything to anyone. You are thoroughly discredited. On record, you are scum. You're better off just keeping your mouth shut and not say words such as, phrases such as human dignity. You have none. Your allies psychologically torture people, and I wouldn't be surprised if you help them. In fact, what you're doing is helping them torture people because you're providing the justification for black ops, covert ops, and government harassment.